we were joking around about it pretty much like the whole time we were filming, like it was kind of just like, oh, like you gonna do the triple flare or whatever, like a QP triple, like that would be so sick. And I was like, yeah, I want to do it, but you're always talking shit till it comes down to the actual moment. And so we were always joking about it. And I was, the first day I hit it, like when before the second build, I kind of, like I did, I was just doing like some flares and stuff, and I like kind of like thought of it for a sec, but it wasn't anything where I was like, yep, like that'll go. And Oystein was like, yo, you think you can triple flare that, like jokingly? I'm like, yeah, totally. And I mean, it was literally a joke. And then we went up there that day, and I think that we built it and started off just hitting it. We were hitting it a bunch, and I think I was just doing like some dub chucks, like a dub flare or whatever. And I really, like, at that point in time, I was like, there's like, I'm not gonna do this, like it was not very lippy. It like, you would deck on that like little shelf most times. You would hit that and then like bounce down, like I mean, it really, and you would not have much airtime. Like you were just like it was cool, but at that moment it kind of like it wasn't even a real thought in my mind. I was like, oh, whatever. And so I kept doing them because I want, like, just doing the dub flare because I just wanted to get a better clip of it. And all of a sudden, I don't know if there was something that like set me off about it or what actually ended up happening, but it was just kind of like, yo, you think I could, And I talked to Cameron Broderick, who was up there, and he was one of my buddies, and he has like, I think, one clip or two clips. I was like, yo, man, like, you think I could do this? Or maybe it was Lennon. Maybe I talked to Lennon. I was like, yo, man, you think I could do this? And he's like, no, like, you got to go, if you think you want to do it, you got to go way, way, way bigger. So I was like, okay, like, sure. So there was a point where everyone was starting, and so I just hiked up way further and just ended up coming in, and I did one dub flare that was like a little bigger, like a little bigger than the other ones that I did. And I went to Owen and I was like, Owen, you think I could actually do the triple flare, And he's like, you got to go way bigger. And I'm like, all right, man. So I went up again, and this was after A Hall did the nose butter dub 12 or whatever it was. And because I thought about it a little bit before that, I like was talking to Cam about it, and then A Hall wanted to do the nose butter, and I brought it up to A Hall, and A Hall's like, we're gonna have to make it kickier, but let me land this first, and then we'll rebuild it. So I actually sat down for a little bit. A Hall landed his trick. We rebuild it. Then I do one that was a little bit bigger. Owen's like, I think you could do it, but you do need to go bigger. So I'm like, all right, word. So I go up, I hike up way further than I hiked up any of the other times. And I was like kind of contemplating it at that point, but I was like, whatever. And I did a dub flare. It was big. It was big as fuck. It was huge, I land, and I was like, and the whole time before that, I was thinking about the triple, I'm like, worst comes to worst, I'll just go to my back, like I was like, I'll just go to my back. Like, it won't hurt that bad, right? Like, I mean, it'll suck, but I'll survive, type of thing, and I landed that dub flare where I went really big, and oh my God, I hit an ice vein, and that landing, it was so sturdy. And I was sitting there, I was like, oh fuck, like, if I go to my back, I'm not going to be okay. And I knew it right at that moment, and I didn't want to admit it to myself, but I did know at that time that it was a serious ordeal. So I went down and landed, and Owen was right where we were landing, and I was like, hugged Owen. I was like, all right, man. Hiked up, I hugged Alex and Cam because they were just at the bottom. And I started hiking up, and Len was right in front of me, and he spoke a few words to me, and I hugged him, and he went down, and I hiked all the way up to this zone where I was dropping in, and even beyond where I did the last one. And I'm sitting there we had been filming for almost like 2 weeks at this point, like every single day, and we had never seen anyone else up on the mountain. Like, we're kind of far over, and like boondock area, you know, like it was just like we're off, like we're nowhere in like a normal place, and I'm sitting there and I'm so scared, you know, like I'm shitting myself. Like I'm so terrified. I'm sitting there and I'm praying, you know, I'm like, oh man, like please protect me on this one. And I'm getting nervous and I'm looking up into the sky, just like kind of screaming, like trying to get myself excited. And out of nowhere, there's this guy that walks up. He's touring up the fucking mountain. He walks up and I'm seeing, and I was screaming at myself before this, right? I'm like, what? I look over, I'm like, how's it going, man? And he's like, what's up? I'm like, not much. And he's like, gonna do something gnarly? I'm like, I think. And he goes, get it. And then just kept walking. There was nothing else to it. I was like, all right, that's a sign right there. Like, I better go. And I can't see anyone. I don't know what they're doing down there, you know, because I'm on top of the knoll. And so I can't see the feature. I can't see anything. I'm sitting there and I just was on some shit. And I was just like, I understood, and this may sound dramatic, but at the time it was kind of where my head was at. But I was like, I understood that if something happened, you know, and I had something go down, or I was, I don't know, worse, like, you know, you die or something. Like, I mean, it sounds dramatic, but at the point you're contemplating a lot. And I'm sitting there, and if that went down, I understood the risk, and I cared about the reward so much more than that, you know. And so I knew that, and I acknowledged that, and I told myself that, and I knew that it was kind of something at the time that was worth dying for. And so I dropped in and fucking skated my heart out and went over and rolled over the knoll, and I saw them all together, you know, just right at the zone where it was filmed, and they were all right behind him, like Owen. And I sat there and I fucking just threw really hard and realized I was going three. And next thing I know, I was on the ground. Like literally it was just like that. Like I felt the third flip go over, and I just like landed. Don't remember like landing or bouncing or anything. I just remember like it was such a peaceful, just like, you know, and just like rode out. And I was didn't even recognize like what happened. And the only thing I could think of is my buddy Cam. He's running up to me, and I'm trying to get my other ski off before he hugs me. And so I got my one ski off. And if you look in the video, I like clip my other ski off like so quick. I'm like, bah, and like clip it off. And he hugged me right when I got it off. And that was the only thing I thought about. And I mean, it was insane. I stood there at the end and just like looked at it. And it was, I think, like probably the most remarkable moment I've ever had on my skis, or just in my life. Like it was nuts. It was just like a moment when I faced fear in like the fullest in my life, you know. Like I'd never been that scared, I'd never been that nervous. And it wasn't for a crowd, you know, like wasn't for anything. Like that was just a moment that was like purely for me and myself and my skiing, you know, just to like push myself, because that's what I wanted to do more than anything. And so I fucking landed it. We had a little moment where we were all standing there and everyone was just like, wow, like that was nuts that went down. And I'm sitting there afterwards. I landed it. I sat there, and Ahol goes, Hunt, like I know you just landed that, but, and he was hiking a little bit, and he's like, but I do think you need to get some other clips on this. Like all you guys a dub flare and a triple, like you may need to get another clip. And I'm like, all right, man, like sounds good. So I went up and I did like 4 or 5 like switch dubs, like switch dub tens on it, landed it. And after that we hiked out and got like a celebratory little cheeseburger and went to bed, and went up the next day and just kept skiing.